Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a name that is steadily rising, a name that carries weight, passion, and purpose, Joe Ranga. His journey is not merely a timeline of events, but a powerful reminder that every person, no matter how ordinary they may seem, carries a story worth telling. Joe Ranga's story begins like many of ours, filled with challenges, doubts, and moments of uncertainty. But what makes his journey extraordinary is not that he faced obstacles, but that he refused to let those obstacles define him. He chose resilience over fear, effort over excuses, and growth over comfort. From humble beginnings, Joe learned early that nothing in life is handed to you. He worked tirelessly, pushing himself when no applause was there to motivate him. He stayed committed when opportunities seemed far away and unreachable. And through this persistence he discovered something powerful. Success is not about luck, it's about consistency. What makes Joe unique is his mindset. He views every failure as a stepping stone, every criticism as fuel, and every challenge as an opportunity to grow. He embodies the philosophy that progress may be slow, but quitting will never speed it up. Joe Ranga stands today as a symbol of determination, character, and vision. His story reminds us that greatness doesn't come from what you have, but from what you build. It comes from the courage to try again when the world expects you to give up. His story is worth telling because it inspires others to tell their own. It encourages us to believe that our journey matters, that our dreams matter, and that we too can rise above circumstances and create something remarkable. So when we speak of Joe Ranga, we speak of resilience, dedication, humility, and unwavering belief. His story teaches us to trust the process, embrace the struggle, and never underestimate the power of a determined heart. Joe Ranga's story begins in a place far removed from fame, recognition, or privilege. His early life was shaped by simplicity, days filled with ordinary routines, quiet struggles, and an environment that taught him the value of effort rather than entitlement. Joe did not grow up surrounded by opportunities. Instead, he grew up learning how to create them. His humble surroundings served as a foundation that molded his character and taught him lessons that no classroom could ever provide. From a young age, Joe understood that life wasn't going to hand him shortcuts. He observed the world around him and realized that success belonged to those who refused to rely on circumstances. Every morning was a reminder that if he wanted something meaningful, he would have to work for it step by step, brick by brick. These early experiences shaped the discipline that would later define his journey. What made his beginnings truly remarkable was not the lack of resources, but the abundance of determination. Joe learned the art of making the best out of limited means. Whether it was studying under dim light, practicing his skills with whatever tools he had, or pushing himself when support was scarce, he kept moving forward. This phase of his life may have been modest, but it was rich with character-building moments. Joe's humble beginnings also nurtured an unwavering sense of gratitude. He never took progress for granted because he knew what it felt like to have nothing. This gratitude gave him clarity and focus. It helped him stay grounded when he succeeded and resilient when he struggled. It kept him connected to the simplest truths, that effort matters, that kindness matters, and that dreams are not limited by one's origin. These early chapters of Joe Ranga's life serve as a powerful reminder that greatness often grows from places where no one expects it. Humble beginnings are not weaknesses, they are seeds. And Joe's story is proof that when these seeds are nurtured with discipline, belief, and consistency, they can bloom into extraordinary achievements that inspire others to rise as well. One of the most defining qualities of Joe Ranga's journey is his unwavering decision to choose resilience. Again and again, even when every part of the path seemed designed to break him. Joe did not rise because life became easier. He rose because he refused to collapse under the weight of challenges that would have stopped many others. Resilience wasn't just a reaction for him, it became a mindset, a daily choice, and a personal philosophy that guided his every step forward. In the early stages of his life, Joe faced situations that could have easily convinced him to abandon his aspirations. There were setbacks that knocked him down without warning, disappointments that made the horizon look distant, and moments when his efforts didn't seem to match the results. Yet, instead of yielding to frustration, Joe learned to stand back up with even greater determination. He recognized that struggle is not a signal to stop, it is a signal to grow stronger. What truly set him apart was the way he approached adversity. Joe understood that resilience is not about pretending everything is easy. It's about acknowledging the difficulty and still choosing to move forward with courage. He accepted that failure is not a final destination but a temporary pause, a moment to regroup, rethink, and re-emerge with deeper understanding. Every challenge became a test, and every test became an opportunity to sharpen his character. Joe also realized that resilience is built through the small, quiet battles that no one sees, the long nights of self-doubt, the silent sacrifices, the internal conversations where he reminded himself that giving up was simply not an option. He learned to push through mental barriers, to silence negative voices, and to replace hesitation with belief. This resilience became the invisible fuel that carried him through the toughest chapters of his story. People often admire success but rarely understand the strength it takes to endure the process. Joe embraced that process wholeheartedly. He discovered that resilience is not a trait you are born with, it is a skill you build through repetition, through struggle, and through choosing persistence over surrender every day. His resilience allowed him to see beyond temporary setbacks and stay committed to the larger vision, knowing that the road to achievement is never straight or smooth. In choosing resilience, Joe Ranga didn't just survive his challenges, he transformed them. Every obstacle became a stepping stone, every setback became a lesson, and every hardship became a part of his growth. His journey shows that resilience is not merely about holding on, it is about rising higher than the problem, stronger than the doubt, and smarter than the previous version of yourself. One of the most powerful truths that Joe Ranga embraced early in his journey was the understanding that success is not something you wait for, it is something you work for. While many people sit back hoping for the perfect opportunity, the right moment, or a stroke of good luck, Joe chose a different path. He learned that the world rewards effort far more than it rewards chance. He understood that luck may open a door, but hard work is what keeps that door from closing. From the beginning, Joe never relied on the idea that life would suddenly transform in his favor. Instead, he realized that the only reliable strategy was consistent effort. He saw that while others searched for shortcuts, he needed to build habits that would push him forward every single day. This commitment to hard work became the foundation of everything he achieved. He put in the hours when nobody was watching, practiced when others were resting, and pushed himself even when results seemed slow. Joe's belief in hard work grew stronger with every challenge he faced. He noticed that in moments when luck failed to show up, effort always did. Whenever he hit a setback, he didn't wait for circumstances to shift, he took action. He trained harder, learned faster, and improved constantly. This mindset allowed him to move forward even when opportunities were scarce, because he understood that effort creates opportunities that luck could never guarantee. He also realized something important. Hard work builds discipline, and discipline builds momentum. Joe learned to show up on days he didn't feel motivated, to continue even when he was tired, and to give his best even when progress felt invisible. This consistency separated him from those who relied on temporary bursts of enthusiasm. Hard work wasn't something he did occasionally, it was a lifestyle, a promise he made to himself. Through his journey, Joe discovered that luck might bring temporary success, but hard work builds lasting success. Luck can give someone a moment, but hard work gives someone a future. Every achievement he earned felt meaningful because he knew it came from effort, not coincidence. He learned to trust the process, knowing that results may take time but dedication always pays off eventually. Another powerful aspect of Joe's approach was his willingness to outwork his limitations. He didn't allow excuses to become barriers. If he lacked knowledge, he studied more. If he lacked resources, he used what he had creatively. If he encountered failure, he analyzed it and returned stronger. Hard work became his answer to problems, his weapon against discouragement, and his path to growth. Joe's journey is a reminder that relying on luck leaves your fate in someone else's hands, but relying on hard work puts your destiny back into your own control. He proved that when effort becomes a habit, success stops being a question of if and becomes a question of when. A defining pillar of Joe Ranga's journey is his powerful growth mindset, the belief that abilities are not fixed, that skills can be developed, and that every challenge carries the potential to make a person stronger. For Joe, this mindset wasn't just a concept. It became a way of life, shaping how he thought, how he learned, and how he responded to every obstacle placed in front of him. Joe understood early on that people do not fail because they lack talent. They fail because they believe talent is all they need. He knew that natural ability could only take someone so far, while continuous improvement could take them anywhere. This belief allowed him to view himself as a work in progress, constantly evolving, constantly refining, constantly learning. Instead of seeking perfection, he focused on progression, knowing that every small step forward mattered. A growth mindset also changed the way Joe approached mistakes. Most people fear failure, seeing it as proof that they are not good enough. But Joe viewed failure as feedback, a guide that pointed him toward what he needed to improve. When something went wrong, he didn't blame circumstances or give up in frustration. He asked questions, analyzed the situation, and adjusted his strategies. Each failure became a teacher, offering lessons that shaped his future decisions and strengthened his abilities. Joe also learned to embrace discomfort, understanding that true growth rarely happens inside the boundaries of comfort. He pushed himself into unfamiliar situations, took on tasks that challenged his limits, and allowed himself to be uncomfortable because he knew that growth lives on the edge of difficulty. Instead of avoiding challenges, he welcomed them as opportunities to expand his capabilities. What made his mindset even stronger was the way he treated criticism. Many people see criticism as an attack, but Joe learned to see it as a gift. Whether feedback came from mentors or from the outcomes of his own efforts, he used it to sharpen his performance. He understood that recognizing his weaknesses didn't diminish him, it empowered him. It gave him direction, clarity, and motivation to keep evolving. Joe's growth mindset also influenced his attitude toward others. Instead of comparing himself to people who were ahead of him, he studied them. He admired their discipline, their habits, and their work ethic. He asked what he could learn from them rather than feeling threatened by their success. This shift in perspective allowed him to turn envy into inspiration and competition into collaboration. Perhaps the most impactful part of Joe's growth mindset is his belief that learning never stops. No matter how much progress he made, he knew there was always more to discover, more to improve, and more to achieve. He kept reading, practicing, observing, and experimenting. This lifelong commitment to learning became the engine that kept him moving forward, even when the path became difficult or unclear. Joe's mindset teaches that success is not about being the best from the beginning. It's about becoming better every day through effort, curiosity, and a willingness to grow. His story proves that the mind is a powerful tool, and when it is trained to embrace growth, there is almost no limit to what a person can become. One of the most powerful forces that shaped Joe Ranga's journey was his unshakable dedication, a level of commitment so deep that it became the backbone of everything he achieved. While many people start with enthusiasm only to fade when difficulties arise, Joe's dedication remained solid, steady, and unbroken, even in moments when progress felt invisible or the path seemed uncertain. Joe understood that dedication is not about working hard for a day, a week, or a month. It is about showing up consistently regardless of mood, circumstances, or challenges. He made a promise to himself that his goals were not optional, they were responsibilities he owed to his future self. This mindset kept him going on days when motivation ran low, when doubts crawled into his mind, and when obstacles tried to block his path. What made Joe's dedication extraordinary was the way he prioritized his goals over distractions. He learned to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term growth. While others were tempted by easy choices, he stayed focused on the work that mattered. He understood that real dedication requires discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. This discipline became his silent strength, guiding him through long nights, early mornings, and tough decisions. Joe's dedication also manifested in his ability to stay committed when results didn't come as quickly as he hoped. Many people give up when they don't see immediate progress, but Joe knew that growth often happens behind the scenes before it becomes visible. He trusted the process and believed that every effort, no matter how small, was building something meaningful. Instead of being discouraged by slow progress, he used it as fuel to push harder. Another significant aspect of Joe's dedication was his emotional endurance. Commitment is not just physical, it is mental and emotional too. Joe learned to manage frustration, to stay calm under pressure, and to remind himself why he started in the first place. He understood that thoughts can either weaken or strengthen a person, so he trained his mind to stay aligned with his purpose. This emotional steadiness helped him remain focused even when the journey became overwhelming. Joe's unshakable dedication also extended to personal improvement. He didn't just commit to goals, he committed to becoming the kind of person capable of achieving them. This meant constantly refining his skills, improving his habits, and building the qualities necessary for success. He treated growth as a daily responsibility, not a one-time effort. His dedication was not passive, it was active, intentional, and relentless. Another remarkable trait was his refusal to settle. Even when he achieved milestones, Joe did not become complacent. He knew that success can disappear if one stops working, so he stayed committed to pushing forward. His dedication was not driven by external rewards but by an inner desire to see how far he could truly go. This self-driven commitment made him unstoppable, even when circumstances were less than ideal. Joe's dedication also inspired those around him. People could see the consistency in his actions, the seriousness in his mindset, and the fire in his determination. His commitment became a quiet message to others, that real success comes not from talent alone but from the willingness to commit fully, to persist endlessly, and to stay loyal to your vision even when the world doesn't yet see it. A defining element of Joe Ranga's journey is his purpose-driven vision, a clear and unwavering understanding of why he does what he does. While many people move through life without direction, reacting to circumstances and drifting from one moment to the next, Joe charted his path with intention. He didn't just pursue goals, he pursued meaning. He didn't just work hard. He worked with a sense of purpose that gave every step of his journey a deeper significance. From early on, Joe realized that success without purpose is empty. Achievements can impress others, but only purpose can fulfill the soul. This understanding led him to search within himself, to question what truly mattered, and to identify the deeper reason behind his ambitions. He wasn't driven by the desire for fame or approval. He was driven by the belief that his efforts should contribute to something greater than personal gain. This purpose-driven mindset allowed Joe to stay focused when distractions were everywhere. When others lost themselves in temporary trends or quick rewards, Joe remained committed to his long-term vision. He knew that purpose acts like a compass, guiding you through confusion, uncertainty, and hardship. No matter how challenging the road became, he always knew where he was heading and why he was heading there. A purpose-driven vision also shaped the way Joe handled setbacks. When you have a shallow reason for doing something, obstacles can easily discourage you. But when your purpose is deep, challenges become easier to bear. Joe's purpose reminded him that every struggle was part of a bigger picture, part of a story he was building. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he asked, "How does this help me grow into who I'm meant to be?" This shift in perspective strengthened him during the toughest moments. Another profound aspect of Joe's vision is how it influenced his decisions. Every choice he made, big or small, aligned with his purpose. Whether it was how he spent his time, who he surrounded himself with, or what risks he took, Joe made decisions that supported his vision rather than distracted from it. This clarity saved him from unnecessary detours and kept him moving forward in the direction that mattered most. His vision also gave him a sense of responsibility. Joe understood that when you have a purpose, you are accountable not only to yourself but also to the mission you're committed to. It pushed him to give his best, to maintain high standards, and to stay disciplined. He saw his journey not as a burden but as a calling, something he was meant to fulfill with dedication and integrity. A purpose-driven vision also sparked creativity and innovation in Joe. Instead of settling for traditional paths or predictable solutions, he constantly asked, "How can I do this better? How can I make a meaningful impact?" His purpose became a source of inspiration, encouraging him to think differently, explore new ideas, and evolve in ways that allowed him to contribute more effectively. Moreover, Joe's vision shaped the way he interacted with others. He treated people with respect, empathy, and sincerity because he believed every meaningful vision should uplift, not harm. He understood that success built on purpose is not just about personal advancement, it's about influence, legacy, and the positive footprints we leave behind. Joe's purpose-driven vision became the anchor that kept him steady, the fuel that kept him going, and the light that kept him hopeful even in dark moments. It gave his journey direction, meaning, and strength far beyond simple ambition. It transformed his work into a mission and his progress into something deeply personal and profoundly impactful. One of the most remarkable aspects of Joe Ranga's journey is the way his story inspires others, silently, powerfully, and consistently. Joe did not set out to become a role model or a symbol of motivation, but his actions naturally evolved into a source of strength for countless people who see a part of their own struggle in his. What makes his influence so impactful is that it does not come from speeches, fame, or grand displays. It comes from the example he sets through his behavior, mindset, and relentless pursuit of growth. Joe's life demonstrates that ordinary individuals can do extraordinary things when they refuse to give up. This simple truth resonates deeply with people who face challenges similar to the ones he battled through, people who feel unnoticed, underestimated, or stuck. When they watch Joe rise from humble beginnings to meaningful progress, they realize that they too can rewrite their story. His journey shows them that success is not reserved for the privileged. It is available to anyone willing to fight for it. What truly inspires others about Joe is not just the results he achieved but the resilience he displayed through setbacks. People often admire individuals who succeed easily, but they connect more deeply with those who succeed despite the odds. Joe never pretended that his journey was smooth. He acknowledged his struggles openly and faced them with courage. This authenticity makes his story real, something people can relate to, not just admire from a distance. Joe's consistency is another powerful source of inspiration. Many people struggle with staying committed to their goals because they believe motivation must always be present. Joe shows them a different truth. that discipline sustains you long after motivation fades. When people see Joe working hard on days when he isn't inspired, they understand that greatness is built through effort, not mood. This realization encourages others to stay committed even when the journey becomes difficult. His growth mindset also inspires people to reevaluate their own limitations. Joe's belief that skills can be developed and weaknesses can be improved gives others permission to view themselves as capable of change. Instead of accepting their flaws as permanent, they begin to see them as starting points. Joe's journey reminds them that they don't have to be perfect. They just need to be willing to learn, adapt, and push beyond their comfort zones. Another reason people find inspiration in Joe is his humility. Despite his progress, he remains grounded, treating others with respect and never forgetting where he came from. His humility sends a powerful message, that greatness does not require arrogance, and strength does not require superiority. People admire him not only for his achievements but also for the character he maintains throughout the process. Joe's influence extends beyond motivation. It creates a ripple effect. When someone is inspired by his journey, they begin improving their own life. Their progress then inspires others, creating a chain reaction of positivity and transformation. Joe's story becomes a spark that ignites change in people he has never met, leading them to pursue their dreams with renewed confidence. What makes this inspiration even more meaningful is that it comes from someone who did not rely on privilege or luck. It comes from someone who struggled, persisted, and grew. His story empowers people to believe that if Joe can rise through discipline, resilience, and purpose, they can too. This belief strengthens them during their lowest moments, reminding them that their circumstances do not define their destiny. Joe Ranga's journey inspires others not because he is flawless, but because he is real. He shows people that greatness is not a gift, it is a choice. And through that choice, he becomes a living reminder that anyone, regardless of where they begin, can create a story worth telling. One of the most profound elements of Joe Ranga's journey is the idea of a legacy in progress. The understanding that a meaningful life is not defined only by what you achieve, but by what you build along the way. Joe never viewed his story as something that would be written only at the end of his journey. Instead, he understood that every step he takes, every challenge he overcomes, and every lesson he learns becomes a part of a living legacy that is continuously unfolding. Joe realized early on that legacies are not created through sudden breakthroughs. They are shaped through consistent effort, daily choices, and the quiet determination to grow into someone better than yesterday. Every time he pushed through a difficult moment, he added another layer to the story he was building. Every time he refused to give up, he strengthened the foundation of the legacy he wanted to leave behind. For him, legacy is not a destination, it is an ongoing evolution. What makes Joe's legacy so powerful is that it is built from authenticity rather than image. He never tried to be someone he wasn't, and he never pretended that his journey was perfect. Instead, he embraced his flaws, acknowledged his mistakes, and used his setbacks as building blocks. This honesty creates a legacy that is relatable and genuine, one that people can learn from, connect with, and find strength in. Joe's commitment to growth also plays a central role in his evolving legacy. He understood that legacy is not just about what you achieve, but about who you become. With every new skill he developed and every challenge he conquered, he reshaped the kind of person he was and the type of person he aspired to be. This continuous transformation showed others that legacy is not something you leave behind only when your journey ends. It's something you shape every day while you're still living it. Another defining aspect of Joe's legacy and progress is the way he impacts others through his actions. People observe his dedication, resilience, and purpose-driven mindset, and they carry pieces of that inspiration into their own lives. Joe's influence is not confined to his own story, it extends outward, guiding others toward strength, discipline, and belief in themselves. Each person he inspires becomes part of the legacy he is building, making it deeper and more far-reaching. Joe also understands that a meaningful legacy requires contribution, not just accomplishment. He strives to give back in ways that uplift, motivate, and support others. Whether through small acts of kindness, words of encouragement, or simply being an example of what perseverance looks like, Joe contributes value to the world around him. This spirit of contribution adds depth to his legacy, turning his journey into a source of empowerment for those who follow. What makes his legacy even more powerful is his refusal to settle. Joe knows that stopping progress means stopping growth, and stopping growth means limiting the impact he could have. By continuing to evolve, he ensures that his legacy remains vibrant, dynamic, and alive. He is constantly rewriting, upgrading, and elevating the narrative of his life, proving that it is never too late to redefine your path or strengthen your impact. Joe's legacy and progress is not about being remembered, it is about making his journey meaningful in real time. It is about living with intention, growing with purpose, and inspiring others through action rather than words. It is about creating something that lasts not because it was easy, but because it was built through resilience, discipline, vision, and heart. His story teaches that a legacy is not carved at the end. It is shaped in every moment you choose strength over fear, effort over excuses, and purpose over comfort. And Joe continues to shape his step by step, choice by choice, transforming his journey into something that matters not just to him, but to everyone who encounters it. One of the most transformative forces in Joe Ranga's journey is the power of self-belief, a force that shaped his decisions, strengthened his resolve, and guided him through moments when external support was nowhere to be found. Joe learned that believing in yourself is not just a motivational phrase, it is a lifeline, a source of strength that carries you through storms when nothing else seems to work. From the beginning, Joe understood that waiting for others to believe in him would only slow him down. People often underestimate what you are capable of, not because you lack potential but because they cannot see your vision. Joe refused to let the doubts of others define the limits of his journey. He realized that self-belief is the foundation upon which dreams are built. Without it, even the greatest opportunities can collapse. With it, even the toughest challenges become conquerable. Joe's self-belief was not blind confidence. It was rooted in effort, growth, and perseverance. He knew he wasn't perfect and he didn't pretend to be. Instead, he believed in his ability to learn, adapt, and improve. This realistic form of self-belief allowed him to stay grounded while still aiming high. It reminded him that it was okay to start small, to fail, and to struggle as long as he kept moving forward with intention and courage. There were moments when Joe felt isolated, times when the world seemed heavy and nothing seemed to go right. In those quiet battles, where fear whispered louder than hope, self-belief became his anchor. It reminded him of how far he had already come and how much farther he could still go. Instead of allowing doubt to control him, he used doubt as a reminder that the journey ahead was worth fighting for. This powerful self-belief also changed the way Joe approached risks. While many people fear stepping into the unknown, Joe understood that staying in the same place was a bigger risk. He believed that even if he stumbled, he would rise stronger than before. This belief enabled him to take bold steps, steps that opened new opportunities, revealed hidden strengths, and pushed him beyond what he once thought possible. Another important aspect of Joe's self-belief is the way it shaped his inner dialogue. He learned that the words you say to yourself matter more than the words others say to you. Instead of feeding his mind with negativity or fear, he practiced speaking to himself with encouragement, clarity, and determination. He replaced thoughts like "I can't" with "I will learn," and "I'm not enough" with "I'm becoming stronger." This shift in mindset allowed him to maintain confidence even during difficult moments. Joe's growth also strengthened his self-belief over time. Each challenge he overcame became proof that he was capable. Each achievement, no matter how small, became fuel for the next step. His self-belief was not built overnight, it was constructed piece by piece, choice by choice, through persistence, courage, and resilience. This evolving belief became a quiet but powerful force, guiding him steadily toward the person he aspired to become. His self-belief also had a positive impact on others. People around him saw the confidence he carried, not a loud or arrogant confidence, but a calm and steady one. It inspired them to question the doubts they held about themselves, to push through their own barriers, and to believe that they too had untapped potential waiting to be discovered. Joe's self-belief created a ripple effect, reminding people that their dreams were possible if they trusted their own strength. What makes Joe's self-belief so powerful is that it is not based on perfection. It is based on possibility. It is grounded in the understanding that greatness is not something you are born with. It is something you grow into by trusting yourself even when circumstances challenge you. Joe learned that self-belief is not simply thinking you can succeed. It is knowing you can rise every time you fall. A central theme in Joe Ranga's journey is his remarkable ability to embrace challenges as opportunities, to see every obstacle not as a roadblock, but as a doorway to growth, learning, and transformation. Unlike many who shy away from difficulty, Joe understood that life's toughest moments often carry the greatest potential for personal and professional development. For him, challenges were not something to fear. They were invitations to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. From early in his life, Joe recognized that challenges are unavoidable. Everyone faces setbacks, disappointments, and situations that test their patience and perseverance. What sets individuals like Joe apart is not the absence of challenges, but the attitude with which they approach them. Joe consistently chose to face difficulties head-on, reframing obstacles as opportunities to demonstrate courage, creativity, and resourcefulness. One of the key aspects of Joe's approach is his ability to extract lessons from every challenge. Instead of dwelling on failure or assigning blame, he analyzes each situation to understand what went wrong and how he can improve. Every obstacle becomes a teacher, providing insights that refine his strategies, sharpen his skills, and deepen his understanding of himself and the world around him. In this way, challenges are transformed from threats into stepping stones toward success. Joe also learned that challenges fuel innovation. When confronted with problems that cannot be solved using conventional methods, he trains himself to think differently. He experiments, adapts, and searches for creative solutions, often discovering approaches that not only overcome the immediate obstacle but also open new paths he hadn't considered before. Challenges become catalysts for growth, pushing him beyond comfort zones and revealing strengths he might otherwise never have realized. Another critical element of Joe's mindset is resilience in the face of repeated setbacks. Challenges do not always resolve quickly, and solutions are not always immediately apparent. Joe understands that the journey through difficulty requires patience, persistence, and faith in the process. He embraces the discomfort, uncertainty, and pressure that challenges bring, using them to cultivate mental toughness and emotional stability. The more he faces, the more capable he becomes of handling future obstacles. Joe also inspires others by modeling how to respond to challenges with integrity and determination. He shows that approaching adversity with a constructive mindset, rather than fear or frustration, not only solves problems more effectively but also strengthens character. His approach demonstrates that difficulties do not diminish a person, they refine them. This perspective motivates those around him to shift their own thinking, encouraging them to approach challenges with curiosity and courage. Importantly, Joe views challenges as opportunities for self-discovery. Each difficulty reveals hidden talents, overlooked skills, and untapped potential. He learns about his limits, tests his perseverance, and uncovers reservoirs of strength he didn't know existed. Challenges teach him patience, humility, and resilience, while simultaneously proving that he is capable of more than he initially imagined. Joe's philosophy also emphasizes the long-term benefits of overcoming challenges. He knows that temporary discomfort can lead to lasting growth. Every obstacle he faces contributes to his personal evolution, equipping him with experience, confidence, and insight that will serve him in future endeavors. Challenges are not merely inconveniences, they are investments in a stronger, wiser, and more capable self. Ultimately, Joe Ranga's approach transforms the very nature of difficulty. By embracing challenges as opportunities, he shifts from being a passive participant in life to an active architect of his own journey. Each obstacle becomes a chance to evolve, each struggle a moment to refine his vision, and each failure a building block toward meaningful success. Through this mindset, Joe not only overcomes adversity but uses it as fuel to propel himself and inspire others forward. Another critical pillar of Joe Ranga's journey is his remarkable ability to cultivate emotional intelligence, the skill of understanding, managing, and channeling emotions in a way that enhances personal growth, relationships, and decision-making. Joe recognized that success is not purely about talent, effort, or knowledge. It is also about the capacity to navigate human emotions, both within himself and in others. Emotional intelligence became a powerful tool that allowed him to lead, connect, and thrive in every sphere of life. From early in his life, Joe understood that emotions influence every choice we make, often more than logic alone. He learned to observe his own feelings, identify triggers, and respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. This self-awareness helped him manage stress, maintain focus under pressure, and make decisions that aligned with his long-term goals. By controlling his inner emotional landscape, Joe gained the clarity needed to face challenges with resilience and composure. Joe's emotional intelligence also extended to empathy, the ability to understand and resonate with the emotions of others. He realized that the success of any journey is rarely solitary. By tuning into the feelings, motivations, and perspectives of people around him, Joe could communicate more effectively, build trust, and create meaningful connections. His empathy allowed him to inspire, guide, and support others, turning relationships into powerful sources of collaboration and mutual growth. Another crucial aspect of Joe's emotional intelligence is emotional regulation. Life is filled with setbacks, criticism, and uncertainty, and Joe learned that unchecked emotions can derail even the most determined individuals. Instead of letting frustration, anger, or doubt dictate his actions, he processed these feelings constructively. He used challenges as opportunities to cultivate patience, resilience, and clarity of thought, turning emotional turbulence into a source of strength rather than weakness. Joe also understood the role of motivation in emotional intelligence. He cultivated an internal drive that was consistent and self-sustaining, rather than relying on external validation or temporary enthusiasm. By connecting deeply with his purpose and values, he maintained motivation through highs and lows, inspiring not only himself but those around him to remain committed to growth and progress. Conflict management was another area where Joe's emotional intelligence shone. In both personal and professional situations, disagreements and misunderstandings are inevitable. Joe learned to approach conflict with calmness, empathy, and rationality, seeking solutions rather than blame. This ability strengthened relationships, fostered collaboration, and allowed him to turn potentially divisive moments into opportunities for growth and understanding. Joe also leveraged emotional intelligence to enhance learning and personal development. By reflecting on his emotional responses to experiences, he gained insights into his strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement. This self-reflection enabled him to adapt strategies, refine behaviors, and continuously evolve into a more capable, balanced, and thoughtful individual. Furthermore, Joe's emotional intelligence allowed him to cultivate resilience in others. By modeling self-control, empathy, and positive emotional management, he became an example for people seeking guidance in navigating their own challenges. His capacity to handle emotions constructively created an environment where growth, learning, and collaboration thrived. Ultimately, Joe Ranga's mastery of emotional intelligence transformed the way he approached life. It gave him the tools to understand himself deeply, connect meaningfully with others, make thoughtful decisions, and navigate challenges with poise. Emotional intelligence became a cornerstone of his journey, equipping him with the insight, balance, and human connection necessary to turn ambition into impact. A defining cornerstone of Joe Ranga's journey is his commitment to lifelong learning, the relentless pursuit of knowledge, skills, and personal growth throughout every stage of his life. Joe understood early on that the world is constantly evolving, and those who stop learning risk being left behind. Success, in his view, is not a destination reached once, but a journey that requires continuous curiosity, adaptation, and self-improvement. From the start, Joe recognized that learning does not stop after formal education. While schools and universities provide foundational knowledge, he saw that real mastery comes from actively seeking information, observing the world, experimenting, and reflecting on experiences. He cultivated the habit of reading widely, exploring new subjects, and exposing himself to ideas beyond his immediate comfort zone. For Joe, every day was an opportunity to acquire wisdom, challenge assumptions, and expand his perspective. Joe's commitment to learning extended beyond academics or technical skills. He understood the importance of learning about people, relationships, and emotional intelligence. By studying human behavior, communication, and leadership, he was able to navigate complex social and professional environments effectively. He realized that the ability to connect, understand, and inspire others is as critical as any skill or knowledge base in achieving meaningful success. Another important aspect of his learning journey was embracing mistakes as lessons. Joe never feared failure. Instead, he analyzed it carefully to uncover insights that could guide future actions. He turned setbacks into a feedback loop, extracting actionable knowledge from every challenge. This approach allowed him to transform obstacles into stepping stones, accelerating his growth and reinforcing the idea that learning is most potent when applied practically. Joe also valued learning from others. He surrounded himself with mentors, peers, and experts who could share their experience, knowledge, and perspectives. He approached every conversation as an opportunity to learn, listening attentively, asking thoughtful questions, and incorporating new insights into his strategies. This humility and openness made him adaptable, versatile, and capable of thriving in rapidly changing environments. Innovation and problem-solving were directly fueled by Joe's dedication to continuous learning. He recognized that staying stagnant leads to stagnation, while acquiring new knowledge fosters creativity, flexibility, and resourcefulness. By constantly updating his skills and perspectives, he positioned himself to identify opportunities, develop unique solutions, and navigate challenges that might have stymied others less committed to growth. Joe also cultivated the mindset that learning is not always linear. It often involves trial and error, exploration, and curiosity-driven experimentation. He embraced unconventional approaches and was unafraid to step into areas where he had limited knowledge, knowing that the process of learning itself would expand his capabilities. This fearlessness in the face of the unknown allowed him to grow in unexpected ways and discover hidden strengths. Importantly, Joe's commitment to lifelong learning was not just about personal gain. He recognized that sharing knowledge and experiences empowers others, creating a ripple effect of growth and improvement. By learning consistently, he positioned himself to guide, inspire, and educate those around him, ensuring that the benefits of his learning extended beyond his own life. Through this dedication, Joe Ranga exemplifies the power of a mind that never stops growing. Lifelong learning became more than a habit, it became a philosophy, a strategy, and a way to stay adaptable, relevant, and capable in a constantly changing world. His journey shows that continuous education and personal growth are not optional. They are essential for anyone seeking lasting impact, resilience, and success.